Have you ever noticed how the most intimate moments with them often end up being the loneliest? You're lying there, the echoes of connection still hanging in the air, but something is fundamentally wrong. Instead of the warmth you'd expect, there's this sudden, piercing coldness that settles over the room like a physical weight. It's a silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels heavy, calculated, and deeply confusing for your soul. You might reach out a hand, seeking a lingering touch or a shared look, only to find they've already checked out. It's as if a light switch was flipped the second the physical act ended. One moment they were all-consuming, and the next, they are a million miles away, even though their body is still right there next to yours. You start to wonder if you imagine the intensity, or if you've done something wrong to cause this sudden shift. This isn't just post-coital sleepiness, or a need for personal space. This is something much more clinical and devastating. We're talking about a specific psychological pattern that repeats across almost every narcissistic relationship. It's a script they follow, and once you see the lines, you can never unsee them. You aren't crazy for feeling abandoned in the very moment you should feel most seen. You're actually seeing the truth. Think back to those times when you felt like you were finally breaking through their walls. You thought that physical intimacy would be the bridge to their heart, the thing that finally made them safe with you. But instead of a bridge, you found a barricade. The more you gave of yourself, the more they seemed to retreat into a fortress of indifference. It's a heartbreaking cycle that leaves you feeling used, hollowed out, and invisible. You've likely spent hours analyzing their face in the dark, trying to find a trace of the person who was just whispering sweet things to you. But that person has vanished. In their place is a stranger who seems almost annoyed by your presence or, worse, completely oblivious to it. It's a psychological disappearing act that targets your deepest insecurities, making you crave their validation even more than you did before the act began. We have to talk about why this happens because the why is the key to your freedom. If you don't understand the mechanics of their emptiness, you will keep trying to fill it with your own love, only to watch that love disappear into a black hole. They aren't sharing a moment with you, they are performing a transaction. And once that transaction is complete, they have no further use for the customer until the next time they feel a hunger. This video is for the person who has felt the sting of the immediate discard after intimacy. It's for the one who has cried in the bathroom while they slept soundly in the other room, completely unbothered. We are going to peel back the layers of this specific brand of cruelty. You deserve to know that your biological need for connection is being weaponized against you. This is the secret knowledge that they hope you never actually figure out. When a narcissist engages in intimacy, they aren't looking for a we. They are looking for a me. They are seeking a hit of dopamine, a boost to their ego, or a way to keep you tethered to their chaotic orbit. The moment the climax passes, the utility of the moment expires. For them, the game is won, the goal is reached, and the mask can finally come off because they no longer need to pretend to be humanly connected to you anymore. It's a jarring reality to face, but facing it is the only way to stop the bleeding. You have been searching for a soul in a place where there is only a mirrored surface. You see yourself reflected in their intensity, but there is nothing behind the glass. By the end of this discussion, you won't just understand what they do, you'll understand exactly why they do it, and how you can stop letting it tear your self-worth into tiny, unrecognizable pieces. So, take a deep breath. Let the tension in your shoulders go. You are in a safe space now with someone who understands the subtle, invisible bruises this behavior leaves on your heart. We are going to walk through the 5 stages of the post-intimacy narcissist. It's time to stop questioning your intuition and start trusting what your eyes have been telling you all along. Let's look at what really happens when the lights go down and the act ends. To understand the narcissist's behavior after sex, you first have to understand their relationship with vulnerability. For a normal person, intimacy is a surrender. It's a way of saying, I trust you with my body and my spirit. But for a narcissist, vulnerability is the ultimate weakness. They despise it in themselves and they view it with contempt in others. To them, the act of sex isn't a bonding ritual. It is a calculated conquest of your boundaries. Think of it like a hunter who has finally caught their prey. During the chase, they are focused, intense, and seemingly devoted to the target. They will say whatever is necessary to close the gap. But once the catch is made, the excitement of the hunt vanishes instantly. The prize is now just an object sitting in their lap. They don't feel love for the prize. They feel a sense of completion that quickly turns into a bored or even disgusted apathy. This is why you see the cold shoulder so quickly. Their ego has been fed, and the hunger is temporarily gone. Because they lack the object constancy to stay emotionally connected when their immediate needs aren't being met, you cease to exist as a person with feelings. You become a piece of furniture in the room. This lack of empathy isn't a choice they make in the moment. It is the fundamental architecture of their fractured, hollow identity. There is also a deep-seated fear at play here, though they would never admit it. True intimacy requires a level of exposure that terrifies the narcissist. If they stay present after the act, they might accidentally reveal the emptiness inside them. They might be seen for who they truly are, a fragile, broken child hiding behind a wall of grandiosity. So, they retreat. They pull back into their shell to protect the false self from being found out. You might notice they immediately reach for their phone. This is a classic move. It's a way of re-establishing their connection to the outside world where they are still perfect. By scrolling through social media or checking emails, they are signaling to you, and to themselves, that you are not the center of their universe. It's a subtle devaluation designed to remind you that they are in control of the emotional temperature of the relationship. Some narcissists will use the post-intimacy window to start an argument. It seems crazy, right? Why ruin a good moment? But for them, the argument serves a vital purpose. It creates distance. If they can make you angry or sad, they don't have to deal with the softness of the moment. Chaos is their comfort zone. By triggering you, they regain their dominance and ensure that the relationship stays on their terms, never becoming too real. Then there are the sleepers. They fall into a deep, almost comatose sleep seconds after it's over, leaving you staring at the ceiling. While everyone needs rest, the narcissistic sleep feels like a wall. It's a total shutdown of communication. They aren't resting with you, they are checking out of the shared reality. It's their way of saying, I've gotten what I wanted, and now I am closing the shop. You are on your own until I wake up. Metaphorically, they treat intimacy like a battery charger. They plug into your light, your warmth, and your vitality. Once their internal battery is back in the green, they unplug and walk away. They don't care if the outlet is left sparking or damaged. They have what they need to go out and face the world again. Your exhaustion and confusion are simply the collateral damage of their endless, desperate need for external regulation. You have to realize that they aren't bad at sex or socially awkward. They are emotionally illiterate by design. They have spent their entire lives perfecting the art of the take, without ever learning the mechanics of the give. When they are with you, they are essentially masturbating using your body as a tool. It sounds harsh, but understanding this tool use mentality is the only way to stop expecting them to act like a partner. They see your desire for connection as a demand that they find suffocating. Your need for a hug or a conversation feels like an obligation they didn't sign up for. In their mind, they did the work, they performed the role, and now they deserve to be left alone. This fundamental mismatch in expectations is where your trauma begins. You are looking for a soulmate in a person who is only looking for a reflection of their own power. There comes a moment in every survivor's journey where the pattern finally clicks. You stop looking at the individual bad nights and start seeing the architectural design of the abuse. You realize that the coldness after intimacy isn't a mistake, it's the point. It's the moment the power shifts back into their hands. They give you just enough sugar to keep you hooked, then they withhold the water, so you stay thirsty and desperate. I remember talking to a woman who said she felt like a ghost in her own bedroom. She described the way her partner would literally turn his back to her and start watching YouTube videos on high volume the second they were done. No, thank you, no, I love you, just the glaring light of a screen. That screen was a boundary. It was a physical manifestation of the wall he had built to keep her at a safe, manageable distance from his heart. It's a psychological plot twist because you realize you've been played. The love bombing that led up to that moment was just a marketing campaign. Once the deal is closed, the customer service department shuts down. You find yourself working harder and harder to get back to that initial warmth, not realizing that the warmth was never real. It was a lure. And now that you're on the hook, they don't have to keep the bait looking fresh. Watch what happens if you try to bring it up. If you say, "Hey, I feel a bit lonely," when you just go to sleep right away, they will likely flip the script. They will call you needy, suffocating, or obsessed. They will make your very human desire for connection sound like a mental illness. This is gaslighting at its most intimate. They are making you feel ashamed of your own heart so that you stop asking them for the things they can't give. The shift in power is subtle but absolute. By withholding affection after sex, they become the prize you have to earn all over again tomorrow. It creates an intermittent reinforcement loop in your brain that is literally as addictive as gambling. You keep betting your emotions, hoping that this time, the jackpot of a lingering hug will stay. But the house always wins, and the narcissist is the house. They always keep the biggest share. Some narcissists will even get up and leave the house entirely. They'll make an excuse about an errand or a late-night work call. This flight is a physical rejection of the bond you just shared. It's a way of proving to themselves that they aren't tied down or controlled by you. By physically removing themselves from the space, they reclaim their independence in the most jarring and painful way possible for the person left behind. You start to notice the dead eyes. That's the most chilling part, isn't it? The way the pupils seem to flatline. The light of desire that was there 5 minutes ago is replaced by a blank, reptilian stare. It's like the person left the building and only the biological shell remains. In that moment, you realize you aren't just alone. You are in the presence of an absence. You are witnessing the true, hollow nature of the narcissistic core. This realization is a turning point because it's where you stop being a victim and start being an observer. You start to see the behavior as a symptom of their pathology rather than a reflection of your worth. You realize that they would do this to anyone. If it wasn't you in that bed, it would be someone else feeling the exact same chill. The problem isn't your performance or your beauty. The problem is their internal inability to sustain a bond. The narcissist's reaction to your vulnerability is actually a confession. Their coldness is a confession that they cannot handle the weight of a real human being. Their silence is a confession that they have nothing of substance to offer once the physical urge is satisfied. They are revealing their limitation, but because we are conditioned to seek love, we interpret their limitation as our failure. That is the lie we are going to burn down today. Once you see the turning point, you can't go back to the way things were. You can't unsee the calculation in their eyes. You can't unfeel the mechanical nature of their touch. The spell begins to break. The soulmate facade crumbles, and you are left looking at a person who is profoundly, tragically small. This is the moment the secret knowledge begins to set you free. You are no longer waiting for them to change. You are waiting for yourself to leave. When the mask fully collapses, the environment becomes toxic in a way that's hard to describe to people who haven't lived it. The bedroom, which should be a sanctuary, becomes a place of psychological warfare. You start to associate intimacy with a come-down that feels like a drug withdrawal. Your body begins to keep the score, tensing up even during the good parts because it knows the inevitable abandonment is only minutes away. The consequences of this behavior are deep and systemic. You begin to lose your sense of self-worth. You start to believe that you are too much or that your needs are burdensome. The narcissist has successfully outsourced their internal shame onto you. They feel empty, so they make you feel empty. They feel disconnected, so they make you feel discarded. It's a psychological projection that leaves you carrying the weight of their brokenness. Over time, this leads to a shattered reflection. You look in the mirror and you don't see a vibrant, lovable person. You see someone who isn't enough to keep a partner interested for more than 20 minutes. This is the ultimate goal of the narcissistic system. To break your spirit so completely that you stop looking for an exit and start focusing entirely on how to fix yourself to please a person who can never, ever be satisfied. Let's talk about the physical toll. The constant fight or flight response triggered by this cycle of intimacy and rejection wreaks havoc on your nervous system. You might develop insomnia, digestive issues, or chronic anxiety. Your body is trying to tell you that this environment is unsafe, but your brain, hooked on the trauma bond, is telling you to stay and try harder. It's a civil war inside your own skin, fueled by their coldness. The narcissist, meanwhile, remains entirely unaffected. They will watch you struggle with a sense of mild curiosity or outright annoyance. If you cry, they might mock you. If you withdraw, they will accuse you of playing games. There is no winning because the rules change every time you get close to understanding them. They need you to stay in the consequence zone, where you are constantly off balance and easy to manipulate. You might find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, just to bridge the gap they created. "I'm sorry I was so emotional earlier," you might say, while your heart is actually screaming for comfort. By apologizing for your humanity, you are handing them the keys to your reality. You are validating their lie that you are the problem. This is where the dark truth sits, the realization that they are consuming your identity to fuel their ego. Think about the specific recognizable details of your life. The way you double-check your texts before sending them. The way you hold your breath when they walk into the room. The way you've stopped talking to your friends about the relationship because you're tired of the "just leave him, her" advice that feels impossible to follow. These are the footprints of a predator in your life. This is the collapse of your once vibrant world. The harsh truth is that a narcissist doesn't view sex as an act of love. They view it as an act of ownership. After the act, they treat you with the same regard a child treats a toy they've grown bored with. You are thrown into the toy box until they decide to play again. There is no aftercare in the narcissistic world because they don't care about the state of the equipment once the game is over. You are just equipment to them. It feels cold because it is cold. There is no warmth to be found in a person who views relationships as a series of hostile takeovers. Their consequences aren't something they suffer. They are something they inflict. They walk away from the wreckage of your heart feeling lighter, while you are left to sift through the debris. They aren't misunderstood. They are perfectly understood by those of us who have seen behind the curtain. This is the rock bottom of the narrative. It's the moment you realize that no amount of love, patience, or physical beauty will ever change the outcome. You are trying to write a love story with someone who is only interested in a monologue. The collapse is painful, but it is also necessary. You have to see the ruins of the relationship for what they really are before you can even think about building something new on solid ground. We've walked through the shadows together, and I know how heavy this feels. But this is the part where you start to take your power back. Healing doesn't happen when the narcissist finally says sorry or changes their behavior. Healing begins the moment you stop looking to them for the definition of your value. You are the one who decides what you are worth, and you are worth infinitely more than the scraps they've been throwing you. Your body is a temple, not a playground for someone else's ego. Reclaiming your physical self is a vital step in the healing process. Start by listening to that gut feeling again. That tension you feel? That's your intuition trying to protect you. It's a gift, not a burden. When you start to honor your boundaries, the narcissist will naturally fall away, because they cannot survive in an environment where they aren't the one in total control. You are going to have to grieve. You aren't just grieving the loss of a person, you are grieving the loss of the illusion of who you thought they were. That's a deep, existential kind of pain. But on the other side of that grief is a clarity that is incredibly beautiful. You will start to see the world in color again. You will realize that true intimacy doesn't leave you feeling empty. It leaves you feeling energized, safe, and deeply seen. Think of your heart as a garden that has been trampled. For a while, nothing could grow there. But the soil is still rich, and the sun is still shining. You just have to put up a fence. You have to decide who is allowed to walk through those gates. No one gets access to your most intimate spaces unless they have proven they can handle that gift with respect, consistency, and genuine empathy. You are the gatekeeper now. I want you to look at your hands and realize they are yours again. They don't have to reach out to someone who isn't there. They can hold a book, a cup of tea, or the hand of someone who actually cherishes you. The post-narcissist life is one of quiet, steady reclamation. You are building a life where coldness is no longer the default setting. You are moving toward warmth, and you are doing it with your eyes wide open this time. This is the earned empowerment. It's not a cheap slogan, it's a hard-won victory. You have survived a psychological war zone, and you have come out with a level of discernment that most people will never understand. You are now narc-proof. You can spot the red flags from a mile away. Your pain has been a brutal teacher, but it has also made you one of the most emotionally intelligent people in the room. Use that gift. When you think back to those nights in the dark, don't feel shame. Feel compassion for the person you were, the person who tried so hard to love someone who was unlovable. That capacity to love is your greatest strength, not your weakness. The narcissist couldn't break it, they could only hide it from you for a while. Now that you've found it again, give that love to yourself. You are the person you've been waiting for all along. The final truth is that their behavior was never about you. Not the sex, not the silence, not the rejection. It was a movie playing in their own head, and you were just an actor they hired to play a part. Now that you've quit the production, they have to find a new lead, but the script remains the same. You, however, are free to write an entirely new story. One where you are the hero, and the ending is full of peace. Close your eyes for a second and imagine a version of yourself that is completely unbothered by their opinion. That version of you exists. They are waiting for you just a few steps ahead on this path. Every time you choose yourself over their drama, you get closer to that person. The journey is long, but the destination, a life of authenticity and self-respect, is worth every single tear you've shed to get here today. You are not a ghost, and you are no longer invisible. You are here, you are real, and you are powerful beyond measure. The coldness they left you with was never yours to carry. Leave it at the door and walk into the light of your own beautiful, resilient